This is a KGW News Special Edition.
Now at 10, the Portland metro area has seen more violence this year. In 2022, there were 96 homicides in the city, and that's half a dozen more than a year ago. Tonight, we take a look at the growing problem. Plus,
the fact that all these patients are being boarded in emergency departments attests to the fact that we are out of hospital capacity.
local hospitals are at their breaking point as they face a new wave of RSV, COVID, and flu patients, and the problem could get worse. One doctor gives his perspective. And later, Oregon's 2022 climate story. Our state saw no shortage of extreme weather events. We'll explain how this year's weather could impact 2023. Welcome to this special edition of KGW News at 10. I'm Christelle Kumwe. Thank you for spending your New Year's Eve with us. Tonight, we begin with the celebration in Portland where Old Town is open, and some viewers decided to share their resolutions with us.
Overall, we're going to just pursue our futures. We're all 22 and 23, so we're going to look forward to, growing in our jobs and enjoying our futures.
If you'd like to share your New Year's resolutions too, you can reach out to us on social media. Post your resolutions or maybe why you don't have one on Twitter or Facebook. You can also text us at 503-226-5088 and we'll share your responses Monday on Sunrise. And remember, if you are out celebrating the new year, TriMet is offering free rides this New Year's Eve. It's part of an effort to keep people from driving under the influence. All MAX trains will ride on Saturday schedules tonight, with some lines extending service until at least 2 a.m. TriMet buses will also run on regular Saturday schedules. For more information, go to trimet.org/planner. Now let's get to some other local headlines. At approximately 4 this morning, a car was hit by a train in Salem, but officials say no one was in the car at the time. Now here's a map of the area. Officers initially got to the car before it was hit. They were responding to reports of an abandoned vehicle. After the crash, several intersections were still shut down because the train was long. Officials examined the tracks, and the streets in the area were reopened at approximately 7:30 this morning. Now, the city of Portland set a record this year that has the city reeling. The most homicides in 1 year. Art Edwards joins us now, and he's going to go over some of the violent epidemic that we're seeing in the city.
Well, right now the city, of course, is struggling with violent crime, and they are searching for answers here. Police trying to do whatever they can to try to keep people safe.
This is a scene that's been repeated over and over in Portland this year. Police at the location of a homicide. As of Saturday, there have been 96 homicides in the city of Portland this year. That's a new record, 6 more than the 90 homicides from a year ago. In October of this year, we talked with Portland Police Chief Chuck Lavelle about the gun violence epidemic in the city.
It's hard, I'll tell you, for me just personally. You're watching people in your city die, and you're trying to solve that problem with the resources you have.
Staffing at the police bureau is an issue. The city is hiring more officers, but it could take close to a year to get them on the streets. Earlier this year, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler addressed the police staffing shortage, but said reducing violent crime isn't only the responsibility of police.
We got to figure out better ways to address this crisis. We have to be innovative. We have to bring different types of people in.
After a homicide in downtown Portland earlier this year near Pete's Market, one of the employees at Pete's talked about the violence that hit so close to her.
I'm nervous, I really am. And the poor guy that was here by himself in the middle of the night by himself was very nervous. I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning. He wanted to tell somebody that he heard shots. And I think he was just scared.
Right now, the police bureau says that they have been able to clear about 53% of the homicides that have been committed this year.
Thanks, Art. Portland fire and rescue crews were called to a fire overnight. Now, this was after 3 a.m. at the Bank of America on Hawthorne Boulevard near Southeast 37th Avenue. The fire was put out around 3:40 this morning, but the cause is still under investigation. And in Newburgh this morning, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue put out a fire at an apartment building on Fernwood Road. One person was taken to a burn center for treatment, and one bedroom was damaged. No word yet on what started the fire.
News of an arrest is a welcome one. It's relief to our university, our community, and our extended Vandal family.
An arrest in the quadruple murder near the University of Idaho campus. And as Mike Bennett reports, the suspect is a graduate student at a nearby university.
This was a very complex and extensive case.
At a press conference Friday afternoon, law enforcement announced an arrest in the slayings of 4 University of Idaho students. Authorities identifying the suspect as 28-year-old Brian Christopher Koberger.
Koberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University.
That school happens to be approximately 15 minutes to the west of the University of Idaho campus, where detectives say Koberger murdered the 4 college students in the early morning hours of November 13th.
Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times.
Moscow Police Chief James Fry says more than 19,000 tips from the public led authorities to Koberger, who was apprehended early Friday in a private community about an hour south of Scranton, Pennsylvania. Neighbors there are in shock.
I'm a little terrified. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm shaking right now. That's really close to our family.
Yeah,
I'm
moving farther away.
I don't see no reason to murder somebody. 4 people, thousands of miles away, and just to come back home. I don't understand.
Koberger is currently lodged in a Pennsylvania jail awaiting extradition to Idaho, specifically Moscow, a community that in all likelihood will never be the same.
These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process.
As we mentioned, Koberger is in a Pennsylvania jail. He is facing 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
And new tonight, Brian Koberger has decided to waive his extradition hearing. His attorney says Koberger is eager to be exonerated and waived his extradition hearing to expedite being transported to Idaho. The Beaverton DMV is closed and probably won't open for about 10 days. ODOT says it had to shut down the location because of a burst pipe which caused extensive damage. They don't expect to open back up until January 9th or even later. The people who normally work at the Beaverton DMV are being reassigned to other offices for the time being. Right now, according to the Oregon Health Authority, local hospitals are overwhelmed with RSV, COVID, and flu patients. And after tonight's New Year's Eve celebrations, it could get worse. Brian Clerkley spoke with a doctor about what you can do to protect yourself.
A local doctor says hospitals have been overwhelmed for weeks. Since Thanksgiving, there have been over 300 patients statewide who have needed hospital beds but weren't able to get them, so they had to be treated in emergency departments. The doctor says RSV is coming down, but flu and COVID cases are starting to go up. He would suggest masking up this New Year's Eve.
We had an increase of 100 patients who are being boarded in emergency departments after the Thanksgiving holiday because there's so little space in the hospitals.
The triple-demic of RSV, COVID-19, and the flu are showing no signs of letting up. Health officials say all 3 of these airborne viruses are highly contagious among children and adults. Dr. Paul Cieslak with the Oregon Health Authority has some concerns going into New Year's Eve. He says there are high rates of all 3 viruses right now. The big problem, hospitals are having a hard time keeping up.
24% of people who get tested for flu are positive, and about 8 to 12% of patients with COVID are testing positive for COVID. That's varying day to day a little bit, and in the most recent week, 11% of people tested for RSV are positive.
Dr. Cieslak is concerned that these positivity rates will increase after people gather for New Year's celebrations. He says when viruses hit the community, they also hit medical staff, which amounts to staffing shortages in a medical system that's already stretched to its limits.
The fact that all these patients are being boarded in emergency departments attests to the fact that we are out of hospital capacity. And if you go to an emergency department, you can expect to wait many hours unless you're critically ill.
Dr. Cieslak has some familiar advice on how to protect themselves and others.
Avoid large gatherings. I know that's hard to do around the holidays, but maybe have a quieter New Year's celebration. And if you're in a enclosed space with a lot of people, wear a mask.
Dr. Cieslak also urges people to stay home if they're sick and get up to date on your COVID vaccine and flu shots. Bryant Clerkley, KGW News.